Between us. Hint to Ralph, always to face. The camera cuz when he turns profile. Brother, he's the biggest thing on television. When Joyce Randolph's son cleaned out her apartment, he expected old photos and memorabilia. Instead, he found decades of handwritten journals. Every page told a story that started in 1960, the same year she walked away from Hollywood. People always wondered why she disappeared at the height of her fame. Why did she turn down roles? Why did she live like she had nothing when everyone knew she had something? One letter explained everything in it. Wasn't what anyone thought. Joyce Sorolla was born on October 21st, 1924 in Depression-era Detroit at a time when most American families were barely getting by. Her parents were Finnish immigrants. Her father Carl worked as a butcher, and her mother Mary was the daughter of a copper miner. They had no idea their daughter would one day become one of television's most familiar faces. Life was simple and rough. The family didn't have much, but they worked hard. Joyce grew up in a modest home with just one sibling, unaware that her Finnish roots would later inspire a nickname that followed her forever. In those early years, while Detroit factories struggled and bread lines stretched across city blocks, the Sola family was quietly raising someone who would bring laughter into millions of American homes. After finishing Cooley High School, Joyce got a job at Saks FTH Avenue. In the 1940s, working retail at such a place was considered respectable, even prestigious. She folded clothes, smiled at customers, and probably thought that would be her path. But everything changed the day she auditioned for the play stage door. It was a local production touring through Detroit, and she tried out almost on a whim. Somehow, she landed the part. Not only did she perform well, but they invited her to join the full tour. One moment, she was behind a counter. The next, she was stepping onto stages across the country. Her transformation happened so fast it shocked even her. She later joined another touring play, A.B.'s Irish Rose, and performed with them for a full year. In just a few months, she had gone from salesgirl to full-time actress, and she never looked back. Then came her boldest move. It was 1943. She was just 19, with only $18.75 in her pocket, barely enough for meals. She left Detroit and took a train to New York City. She went with another young actress named Marie, chasing a dream during wartime. When they arrived, they checked into the Ashley Hotel on West 47th Street, which was cheap, sketchy, and full of struggling performers. The neighborhood was gritty, dangerous, and nothing like the glamorous image people had of New York. But Joyce didn't flinch. She had no safety net, no job waiting, just determination. It was a huge risk, and many girls like her vanished in that city. But somehow she made it work. 2 years later, in 1945, Joyce stepped onto a Broadway stage. She was cast in A Goose for the Gander, performing alongside Gloria Swanson, one of the biggest stars in Hollywood history. Swanson was known for being intense, dramatic, and demanding. For Joyce to hold her own with her on stage was a massive achievement. Also in the cast was Conrad Nagel, another film legend. Joyce had arrived. It was one of the fastest rises in theater at the time. In just 2 years, she had gone from sleeping in a cheap hotel to acting with royalty. It wasn't just a performance. It was her official entry into the world of serious entertainment. During this time, something strange happened. New York columnists began calling her the Garbo of Detroit. It made no sense to her. I was a nobody in Detroit. Why Garbo? She said years later. Maybe it was because of her Scandinavian background, like Greta Garbo. Or maybe there was something mysterious about her presence that reminded people of the silent film icon. Whatever the reason, the nickname stuck. Even though she didn't see herself as mysterious, it added a strange kind of aura to her growing legend. Before she became Trixie Norton on The Honeymooners, Joyce had a much darker reputation. She was TV's most frequent murder victim. In 1 year alone, she was killed 24 times on screen. That's 2 deaths per month. She starred in dozens of crime and horror dramas, often dying before the first commercial break. Audiences knew her face, even if they didn't know her name. She was the woman who always got strangled, poisoned, or stabbed. Her death scenes became so common that reporters began to joke about it in the papers. It gave her steady work, but also trapped her in one of the weirdest TYP casts in TV history. It started to mess with her head. She later admitted that being murdered so often on screen affected her personal life. I was killed so often by my television boyfriends that I always expected my real life boyfriends to take a gat, a shiv, or a poker to me. She said it wasn't just a joke. Constantly rehearsing violent scenes had shifted her expectations of what love and danger looked like. Her roles involved betrayal, anger, and brutality, usually at the hands of people pretending to love her. Over time, the line between script and reality blurred in her mind. This wasn't something people talked about much back then, but the emotional toll of those roles was real. Her mother, Mary, didn't find it entertaining. She hated seeing her daughter die so often on screen. That's what Mama used to complain about, Joyce recalled. The graphic deaths upset her. But when Joyce finally landed a safe, clean, wholesome role as Trixie on The Honeymooners, her mother still wasn't satisfied. Why? Because Trixie was married to a sewer worker. That embarrassed her. For Mary, it wasn't enough that Joyce had a steady, famous TV role. She didn't like the working class image. It showed how parents in that era sometimes measured success by class status more than career progress. And then came the biggest twist of all. After years of violent roles, Joyce's career changed thanks to a breath mint. In 1951, the Cadbury Company launched their new Claret's Mint line and bought ad space on Jackie Gleason's variety show Cavalcade of Stars, which aired on the Dumont Network. One of those live commercials featured an actress named Joyce Randolph. She wasn't famous, just a working actress trying to make rent. She stood in front of the camera, demonstrated how Claret's could freshen your breath, and wrapped it up like any routine advertisement. But this simple moment, which seemed like nothing special to most people, ended up changing her entire life. Sitting backstage, Jackie Gleason watched the ad and froze. He didn't see just another